Blog Talk Radio.
Carol the Coach. Sex, love, and relationships. We talk about it here.
Carol the Coach. Compassion with contemporary relevance.
I am a psychotherapist. I can be your personal life coach, and I can help you with your issues. There are no problems too small or too big. You can talk about anything.
Speaker, columnist, radio TV host, and commentator. Carol the Coach brings messages of wellness and empowerment within reach of everyday people every day.
Almost 5 years ago, I lost my soulmate in an accident. He was killed in a plane crash. Life just, for me, has seemed to stop.
There are groups all over the city. I teach one. It is a specific way to start thinking so that you shift how you see the world, which then shifts your energy, and then you feel better and you actually see things differently.
Carol the Coach, always available too at carolthecoach.com.
Now I've got Russell on the line.
I'm 47 years old. I'm a truck driver. I am married. I have a wife in San Francisco.
Okay.
I haven't been home in 6 months. My thing is, I don't know if I have a sex addiction or what the problem is. Why do I want what I can't have? And as soon as I can have it, I don't want it anymore.
You're right on target when you say, I don't know if I have a sexual addiction. Well, guess what? Yes, you do. And you know what? That's my specialty, Russell, so you're at the right place. Continue.
I meet women online, and I'm in a different part of the country. I travel all 48 states, so I love sex.
I hear self-esteem issues. You never felt good enough, and you didn't feel like you were getting what you should have then, and you're reenacting that now. Do you want to change that about yourself? You get what you need. I got an interesting email from a fan that said, Carol, I just want to check in with you. How'd the workshop go? Well, I think you should have been there so that you could have seen how the workshop went. You know, for my single sex addicts, one of the things that I know is that this is absolutely much, much harder for you because you don't have a second reason to want sobriety. You don't have a second person to be accountable to. It really all falls on your shoulders. And for that, I'm sorry. And that's where fellowship is so important, because when you have fellowship, then you can be accountable to somebody, right? But in the meantime, what I know to be true is that when you have a family, when you have a partner, you have another reason to do it right. And oftentimes, not only do you want to do it right, you want to rebuild the trust that you lost. And so my Help Her Heal workshops are exactly that. They are a way for a partner to help their partner heal. And it matters not options were, because it all hurts the same. So I have felt very blessed to be able to write the book, Help Her Heal, an empathy workbook for sex addicts to help their partners heal. And then, I do that online course, which is on my website, Sex Help with Carol the Coach. I'm not kidding you. That's hours and hours and hours of information on relationship skills and trust-building skills to really help your partner recover. Okay, then I did the workshop, and I am going to have another workshop. I promise you that. I'm thinking the end of September, the beginning of October. What I know is, even though my birthday is not in September or October, it is my big 65th birthday. I was just telling my husband that I doubt that COVID's going to be over, and I am a celebrator. I want to cater a party. I want all my friends to come. I want us to focus in on the good things, focus in on the gratitudes. And why do I want that? Because I believe that whatever you appreciates and gets bigger. And that means I want the joy in my life to be greater and greater and greater. Now, my husband and I have two different philosophies about COVID. And I'm not saying he's wrong. It's just not my mindset yet. My husband believes that we all just need to get COVID and get this over with and then develop those antibodies and get strong that way. And although I buy that, I don't want the medically compromised to take that risk. And I think I'm one of the strongest human beings that I know. I mean, twice today, and, I just bought that pedal board that it's a stand-up paddle board on the water that you pedal. Unbelievable workout. And I work out with weights, and I play hard, and I work hard. I love my family. Life is good. I have not had that many tragedies, and those tragedies or traumas that I've had, I really say to myself, you know what? They were there to build me stronger. And yet, when betrayal occurs, that is the number one infraction. That is the thing that can break a person, drop them to their knees. And so you've got then several layers of trauma. You've got the trauma from the man or woman that's experienced betrayal. And then after that, the addict has the trauma of watching that and feeling horrible and choosing to live with that or not. Most of my addicts do. They say, you know what, I caused this and I'm seeing it through. And I'm not saying that I agree or disagree with that, but I am saying that I believe that that is a great reason to stay together and see if you can't make it work. And to be able to make it work, you really have to be committed to practicing the skills over and over and over again to increase empathy. You've heard of the Thanos, the check-in process, where you identify feelings and affirmations and needs and own something that holds you accountable and then really look at how you can provide service. Well, I'm a believer in my very own connection share. And connection shares are a check-in that actually have two different levels. One is whenever you do a connection share, this is essential. This is imperative. And that is that you both have to sit down face to face, right? One person can't be laying on the bed and the next person sitting in the reading room right next door. It has to be face to face. To check in with each other on these 5 statements. You have to identify your primary feeling that you've had this day and explain why you had it. You have to be able to have share a struggle or a concern that you encountered. Now, we'd like that to be about recovery or about addiction, so that the partner knows more about you. And then when it's the partner's turn to talk about that, he or she will be able to let you know what their triggers are. And then an appreciation for your recovery, because why? You heard it earlier, what you appreciate gets bigger. It appreciates. And it's always good to know something that you feel gratitude for. Now, I know I meet a whole lot of addicts that, Carol, that one's going to be hard because I don't want to look cocky to my partner. I don't want to look like I'm proud of myself because I did the next right thing. Well, you're absolutely right. It's all in your tone of voice. It's in your demeanor. And, maybe you start out your appreciation by saying, I don't want to appear like I need accolades for this, but I really am pleased with the fact that I've been contacting a man in the fellowship every day to either express a concern I have for myself or a concern that I have for the other person. Then you have to share an appreciation you have for the relationship. I'm happy and appreciate the fact you stayed. I appreciate the fact that you put the kids to bed 3 nights this week while I did my recovery. I appreciate the fact that you let me give you a big hug and a kiss. And then the last one is, what would you like to work on for tomorrow's recovery? A partner always wants to know what you're going to be doing and that you're forward thinking and that you're going to keep improving and improving and improving. Now, these same things go for the partner. You know, what is her primary feeling that she experienced today? And what struggle, concern, or trigger did she encounter? What is an appreciation she has for her recovery? And I think if I rewrote this book, I would not call it recovery. There's something about that that grates on my last nerve. I don't want to call the partner's work recovery because she's not recovering from anything personally. She's recovering from the trauma of betrayal. So, of course, an appreciation for the relationship, and that's always good for a partner to identify what's one thing I feel grateful for or I believe is working in our relationship, despite the huge volcanic eruption and splinter in the relationship. And then, what would I like to work on for tomorrow? Remember, because I'm taking that word recovery out. I think it's real helpful for the betrayer to know what his or her partner is going to work on so that there can be some encouragement and some check-in and some how'd that go for you today, some connection. Now, the truth of the matter is that if you want to go deeper, after you've got these check-ins down, then I'd love for you to try the check-ins that require more vulnerability and non-defensiveness. And, you know, what we know to be true is that when there's been this kind of infraction, we get lots of conflict avoidance. So this jumps right into the conflict. What I trust most about you is. What I trust least about you is. What I appreciate most about you is, and what I feel most about the future is. What I dream for in our future is, I need you to blank. I need you to make more amends to me. I need you to notice my progress. I need you to cut me some slack when I don't do things perfectly. And as your recovery strengthens, you'll likely be able to understand your partner's feelings, and anticipate each person in the coupleship's feelings and reactions. Now, it's all about getting healthy and practicing skills. And tonight I'm really excited because I have a woman who actually uses hypnosis to alter limiting beliefs, and she's a hypnotherapist. I know she can be very powerful when it comes to what you're dealing with in terms of addiction. And, I really believe in seeing a lot of affirmations that can pave the way for who you are and what you want to be. And so I was very excited when I heard about her because she has made it her mission to help people in their life, in their recovery. She is just like me. She's an ICF coach, and that is an accredited coaching federation that accredits all the coaching schools and makes sure that they are all working diligently to train their coaches. And not only does she do hypnosis, but she, like myself, is a hypnotherapist. And what we know about hypnosis and hypnotherapy is that it's not a standalone treatment per se for trauma, but it can be incredibly helpful in trauma. It can be incredibly helpful in self-actualization. It's all about envisioning. And so my guest, Elena Mosinger, has been practicing these techniques for the longest time. And I can't wait to hear what she has to share with us, especially about her stress reduction audio set, which she is going to offer to all of you for free. So I want to say, Elena, welcome to Sex Help with Carol the Coach. How are you?
Hello, Carol. Nice to meet you, and thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm great. How are you doing?
I am well, and since we have never talked, I know they spell your name Elena, but is that Elena or Elena?
It's Elena. Elena,
okay. And then is it Mosinger?
Mozaner,
okay. Elena Mozaner, and your YouTube videos are amazing. I went to them to look and see if anybody had introduced you so I would know how to say your name, and I just got captivated with what good work you do with people that really want to alter their mood and want to be different. And you and I both know that there's that unconscious, subconscious, conscious part of the brain, and oftentimes hypnotherapy will plug right into that unconscious and ask for collaboration to make goals happen. So tell us a little bit about why you got into this business and how you practice it today.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for doing the research. And Carol, I also appreciate what you do and the fact that you are an ICF certified coach. It's pretty amazing. It's not an easy certification, and I really appreciate the skills that one can acquire with ICF. So, my story with hypnotherapy is I have been practicing hypnotherapy for over 15 years. And my first exposure to hypnosis was when I was 5 years old. And I actually saw a stage hypnotist back in Russia, where I'm originally from. And
wow.
That really stuck in, it really stuck in my head. I still remember I literally stood up on my feet from my seat, and I was just mesmerized by what I saw on stage. So I saw the female hypnotist who was hypnotizing adults to act like children. And in my own 5-year-old mind, I was just wondering, how is it possible? How can those adults act like children? So I wanted to understand how it worked, and it took me a long time. It took me about 20 years before, 18 years. At 23, I took my first course in hypnosis, and then I deciphered the magic behind stage hypnosis. And then from there on, I started studying it, taking courses, and I went to schools. I became both a coach and hypnotherapist. I started working with clients and then referrals. And I've used hypnosis for myself. It helped tremendously with specific fears that I had, and also helped me assimilate to the American culture better and faster.
Well, it sounds like you knew from an early stage in your life there was a fascination that you were tapping into, and so you call yourself a hypnotherapist, and I know that as a hypnotist, we help people hypnotize like you saw on stage, but a hypnotherapist obviously works with people on their problems. And then as a coach, you help people to self-actualize. So can you give our listening audience a taste of some of the clientele that you work with?
And it's a good point. There is a huge difference between stage hypnosis and hypnotherapy. So I have not ended up being a stage hypnotist, but a hypnotherapist, so I can help people make those changes. I work with different clients. Some of the common issues that I've had clients come to me, of course, smoking, bad habits, weight loss, but there are certain clientele I really enjoy working with. I enjoy working with performance. I enjoy working with helping women be more confident, and also relationship issues. And there's a portion of my clientele that has sexual problems, whether it's sexual performance anxiety or sexual addiction. So these are pretty much the clientele. I'd say 20% of my clients have sexual issues, and 40% are relationship issues related.
Okay, and so again, share some of the sexual problems that 40% of your clients might have.
So it has been common. I've had men come to me with sexual performance anxiety, which is the ED, the erectile dysfunction, very much a performance issue. It's as much in the head. And then there are sexual addictions. And I haven't really spoken with too many therapists on the numbers and their experiences. But from my experience, I'll say that sexual addiction, I think, is more prevalent among men, at least from my experience. So whether it's porn, sexual addiction to porn, or having affairs with other women. So that's the gist for the sexual addiction clientele. For women, I would say I've only had a few requests when women had sexual addiction. However, women have two types of issues. There may be addiction to, I would say, love and connection, certain attachment, or women dealing with breakups, divorces, or having relationships with sex addicts, or partners that are unfaithful. So understanding how to deal with that and what choices to make can be an issue.
Absolutely. So, you said that when you're working with a sex addict, you're either looking at some of the recovery issues or you're looking at the relational issues. And definitely with recovery, oftentimes there are urges and cravings that I know hypnotherapy can be very helpful for. And so I'm wondering how you might work with somebody who has strong urges and cravings for, acting out or multiple marital affairs, or, even behaviors that could get them in trouble, voyeurism or exhibitionism. How might you use hypnotherapy to dim those urges and cravings or turn them down?
Hypnotherapy, Carol, is a good supplement with other types of work that one can do, like psychotherapy or sexual therapy. Hypnotherapy can be used to reduce stress, certain anxiousness, and also there is a process called parts therapy, which I've used with clients, which is really incredible. And I'm sure you know parts therapy. It involves really speaking to that part within a client that is responsible for behavior. So we can use parts therapy to help communicate with the part and maybe negotiate with another part and find a new type of behavior sort of like a substitute that can satisfy that need. And then there are different relaxation techniques. There's a technique I'm sure your audience is aware of probably, and yourself, EFT, emotional freedom technique. I teach that to my clients, a shortened version of EFT, to help them become more aware of cravings and urges. And really, at the end of the day, it is about awareness and recognition and pausing and mindfulness, really becoming aware of that strong urge or desire. So awareness and mindfulness is really key, and these can be simple suggestions when you work with someone to become thoroughly aware of the desire, to become aware of the urge, whether it's physical, emotional urge, and sometimes you can ask them to imagine it, give it color, but it is about the profound awareness of it. Once you become aware of it, you can begin to release it and let it subside naturally.
Well, it's interesting because I was trained initially as an Ericksonian hypnotherapist, and Erickson uses a lot of metaphors that follow a similar process to whatever a person might be working on. And so oftentimes, I will ask my client, if your life were like a metaphor, what would that be like? And, maybe they'll say, well, my life is just a huge storm and it's volcanic. And, it's like a tornado. And they bring up these beautiful metaphors that then under hypnosis, I ask them to draw or experience that metaphorically in a different way. And it's interesting because for a listening audience, it is your conscious part of the brain where you typically make choices, and then it's your subconscious part that makes choices that you don't necessarily or are not necessarily aware of. And then it's the unconscious part of the brain that you really can't necessarily tap into and understand. That's that part that really stores memories, images, and impulses that come out when you least expect it. And so what I found hypnotherapy to be so effective is in helping coordinate all three parts of the brain to work together towards one goal. And it sounds like you do a lot of that same therapy. Now, I got to ask you, because clearly you have this stress reduction audio set, and tell our listening audience about that, because you are offering that free of charge. And I want my audience to take advantage of that. Get on your website and take a look at that.
Absolutely. The stress reduction set is about a relaxation response, which is the opposite of the fight or flight response. So there are 3 audio sessions that can help you release that natural relaxation, that state of calmness and being present. And I've released it now to help people deal with all the incoming anxieties that they've been experiencing with the current state of events. And also with that set, there's a 1-hour self-hypnosis course that teaches people how to induce a state of hypnosis and use and design their own suggestions to reprogram the mind. So there's a whole set of inductions, hypnotic inductions that you can have access to, and also a little guide to help you design powerful, positive affirmations. So I do believe that self-hypnosis is important. It matters to understand and use, because it helps you self-sovereignty, the autonomy, so to say, It, you become the storyteller, the author of your own life through inner self-talk.
Yeah, absolutely. And in your YouTube videos, you do talk about the need for positive affirmation and positive self-talk. So now let's just move away from addiction, because anybody, you, me, our neighbors, our family, anybody can use affirmations and also that positive self-talk to navigate us forward in life, and that's the coaching part of self-actualization. So how do you help clients with positive self-talk and affirmations?
So I'd like to add one thing about the Ericksonian. I really appreciate that you mentioned Ericksonian, because he was the one who strongly believed that we have the inner resources for change. So it's really incredible to be using these metaphors. I like what you mentioned about the storm and how to reframe that. Just wanted to say that. It's really incredible. So when I work with clients using either metaphors to help induce that state of imagination, can be really profound. And affirmation is, we all have heard of the word affirmation. It's a very popular new age word. As hypnotherapists, we often use the word suggestion, which is it's a phrase, a sentence, and as professionals, we are equipped to help design these specific type of suggestions, affirmations. And when I work with clients, my first goal is to really understand what's the limiting belief, what's holding them back, what's the block, and what is this limiting pattern that is in the way of their desired outcome. And then we'll spend some time to design the new set of suggestions, affirmations that are usually stated in present tense or past perfect tense, as if they have already happened. And I like, there's an interesting, in sports, they often use visualization and visualization of a task being completed. So that's really powerful. And suggestions and affirmations can also be designed in that same fashion, as if something has already been done and completed, and you can add visualization to it to activate a feeling inside of you, and emotion that goes with that desired outcome being completed. So that's how our clients can benefit from working with somebody like yourself or me, because we are really truly equipped by helping them design that new story with new affirmations and pictures inside that can be installed in the unconscious mind.
Absolutely. And so share with our listening audience, obviously no names or anything like that, but share how you help somebody with a visualization to help them get to their goal. Describe the problem he or she experienced and how you worked with them further.
Well, are you interested in any specific type of client, or it doesn't matter?
Any client you want to talk about, yes.
Well, I do have, since I do work quite a bit with performance and relationships. Let's say it's a performance anxiety, someone who wants to get up on stage and speak confidently. So in that sense, you want to communicate a state of connection. I am connected with my audience. I I project confidence. The audience is on my side. So oftentimes with that type of problem, with performance anxiety, there is a sense of isolation and inner judgment. With a relationship problem, working with women that are, and I have women come to me with relationship breakups. So I help them move forward into a new chapter, a brand new chapter where they are open for a new relationship or are in a healthy relationship. So we use a powerful visualization of being new you. What does it require? How does it feel like? How does it look like to be a different version of you? But before we go there, I really spend some time talking with a client, trying to understand what are the lessons from what happened, if it was a breakup or divorce, or they were with somebody who was cheating on them or who was addicted. They finally decided to move on. What are some of the key lessons that you're carrying away from the end of this chapter? And it is absolutely important to understand that, because this is part of the adult learning model. David Colby, who's an education theorist, he does talk about how if something happens, we need to identify what has happened. And we need to clearly describe what happened, and then move to the stage where we ask, now what? What do I do now? So it's kind of like you're almost approaching an event, almost like a researcher, like a scientist. So that's what we try to do, what I try to do with my clients, to really carry the lessons, carry the wisdoms from what happened so that they don't repeat it again. And that's the adult learning model, so you can keep growing into a new chapter, new you, where the lessons have been learned that don't need to be repeated. And who are you as that new being? So we go into a description of that person, and then I communicate it to a client in a state of hypnosis, so you can really, really stay in the unconscious, both as words and pictures and sights and sounds. Yeah, like a movie.
Yes, that absolutely makes a lot of sense. And let's face it, for someone who has performance anxiety, their anxiety may have stopped them from being able to visualize how actualized they can be and how powerful they can be. And in a state of hypnosis, it opens up the doors to being able to visualize something that perhaps you don't feel initially. I know with sports, performance anxiety can really get in the way of that, can it?
Oh, absolutely. And you're absolutely right, Carol. The anxiety is not allowing you to see that what you want, that what you deserve. And through hypnosis, we can actually show the movie, show the trailer of the upcoming amazing film, amazing new story. So in sports and performance, they use a lot of that mental rehearsing, or it's also called future progression, and that can be used really anywhere, not just for performance. It can be used in relationships. It can be used in somebody who's recovering from a sexual addiction. What does it look like to be free of that, the problem and the sexual addiction? How meaningful are your relationships? What type of relationships do you now have? What are the benefits of this new phase in your life once you are free from the urge, being a slave to the urge? So something like that. You have to take them to that new way of being and fill it in with positive feelings and emotions.
And so let me ask you, because obviously you brought up sexual addiction, you brought up somebody who doesn't have that belief, somebody with a lot of anxiety. I'm going to I'm going to encourage our listening audience to think about one thing that they have wanted to do, but their own limiting beliefs, their own anxieties or fears, their own worries may have stopped them from doing. And I would like for you, as a listening audience, to close your eyes and just imagine yourself being able to accomplish that. And sometimes with my hypnosis and hypnotherapy, if they can't really see themselves doing it yet, I ask them to visualize somebody else who has been able to do it. You know, an all-star athlete, a gymnast, somebody that they were in class with, someone who appeared to be able to have what my client wanted. And then I ask them to actually imitate or express themselves in a way that brings them that sense of performance, even if it's not perfect. Because let's face it, perfection can also stop our clients, can it not?
Absolutely. I love your example that you bring up, Carol. I don't know if you've heard of NLP. In NLP, they call it modeling, when you actually model your somebody you admire, somebody you like. It's very much like that. It's really incredible. You know what else I do sometimes? And it actually comes from, I did a bit from the stage hypnosis, and I've been using it with clients. They love it. I ask them to tell me who do they admire. And I for someone it can be Oprah, for somebody it can be, someone very accomplished, or if it's a woman who wants to be in a relationship, she can imagine a friend or a boss or a celebrity who has a family. So I ask them to imagine that person, something that you just mentioned, and then in hypnosis, I ask them to imagine they are that person. So I bring them back, and then we do a bit of role playing, and that is so powerful because it's almost like acting, and they also get into the mind of that person, and sometimes they change the posture, the way they speak, and they get to imitate that person's sort of like a mindset. It's almost like a channeling. It becomes like a channeling. And then when I bring them back, they're like, "Oh, this is interesting. That's how Oprah feels. That's why she's so confident." Or, "Oh, Kim Kardashian." Or, it's a fascinating exercise.
Well, I would think it would be. And did you say you don't know if I had ever heard of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming?
Oh, I'm sure you may have heard it. You probably know what NLP is. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I wasn't sure that's what you said. And neuro-linguistic programming for our listening audience is a way to anchor certain feelings, certain beliefs, certain images, and incorporate those ourselves. I find that it's a beautiful complement to hypnosis or hypnotherapy because it really does get past the limiting beliefs by anchoring new visualizations through taste, touch, smell, sound, and what I missed there. Taste,
5
touch,
touches. So we have hearing, audio. We have olfactory, which is smell, olfactory. We have gustatory, taste, and then touch. And kinesthetic. There's a kinesthetic as well, which is like a feeling. So
yeah, that's my primary representational system. I'm a feeler. And, again, for our listening audience, you can determine which one you are, which one of the 5 senses you access the most by your language. So if you say, "I see what you're saying, it looks to me like," I can visualize that, you probably are guided by being able to envision or see. If you're kinesthetic like I am, I will say things like, it's hard for me to handle. I can't grasp that. All those words that connote being able to touch. And when you access the words that you use, if you're auditory, you might say, I hear what you're saying. It sounds like that's a great idea. What I'm hearing you say, when you do that, that obviously means that your primary system is hearing, and that's how you assess and perceive the world. And NLP can help us to expand that by listening to the people who are before us and relate to them in that same representational system. It's another way of relating in an unconscious or subconscious way.
Yes,
now,
it is.
It's
a wonderful rapport. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
We got kind of heavy with them, but no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have done a lot of training. Let me ask you one other personal question. Where did you get your coaching degree?
I went to University of Texas at Dallas. So I did a 2-year program. I did my master's in executive coaching and organizational behavior. And 1 year of that program was devoted just to coaching. So that was a rigorous program. And then at the end of that year, I passed the exam and did my one-hour tape that they evaluated. So, yes, University of Texas has been the big part of it.
Interesting. Well, you put a lot of time into it because for people that don't know, although actually I work for an organization, it's a partner betrayal organization to complement the work that I do with sex addicts, and they utilize, I would say, 50% clinicians and then 50% coaches to help partners to heal by using novel tech tools and resources that, when you're traumatized, you might not even be able to think through to be able to do. We just find that coaching is instrumental in taking that person to the next level. So,
yeah, that's great.
Let's tell everybody how they can get to your website and also how they can access that skill set.
Absolutely. So the website is ElenaMozaner.com, just like my first name and last name. And on the home page, you can sign up and receive the stress management set, and you'll also receive an access with a passcode to a 1-hour self-hypnosis course, which is 5 modules, 7 modules. It's pretty simple.
Okay, so again, I am going to encourage you to go to her website, which is www.Elena, which is ELENA, and then her last name, MOSANOR.com. You can go
N-E-R, not O-R, E-R
okay.
in the end.
Oh, E-R, okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
And so that will take you to, you can even just Google her name. She comes right up. And that will give you the availability of her downloads regarding her stress reduction audio set, which includes 3 recordings. And she obviously told you about other options that she has available on that site. And if they want to work with you, they can get a hold of you through your website?
Absolutely, yes. They can just fill out the contact form, and I'll be available for them.
All right. Well, one of the things that I told my listening audience tonight is that hypnosis has been used for centuries as an adjunct therapy for limiting beliefs and for working beyond your potential. And so you've shared with us some really important techniques. Now, before we end, you and I both know that COVID-19 has wreaked havoc on a lot of our clients, and it certainly is creating unique anxieties. And so this stress reduction set is a helpful tool for COVID and Corona. What are you seeing out there with your clients and this pandemic?
A few interesting things. I'm seeing a lot of change, and I'm seeing people reinventing themselves. And I have clients that come to me now, those that are on unemployment, and really finding new ways to envision their lives. I just think that I've heard someone talk about, I think it was Greg Braden, the author of The Divine Matrix. He talked about how we are going through 4 stages of grieving. We are grieving our former life, really, the life that we used to have. And then I was like, this is so true. There's denial, there's a bit of anger and anxiety and depression, and we're all moving to this final stage of acceptance. And once we accept it, fully accept it, who are we? We are a new version of ourselves, and we better be a better one, and health-wise, taking care of ourselves, emotionally, spiritually. This is what's really happening, and that's been the narrative for many of my clients, finding this newer version, healthier version, eating healthy, exercising, and being more mindful and reinventing themselves.
Well, absolutely, and I really appreciate the fact that, again, as a coach, you take something that looks like a tragedy and you go, what opportunities is in that? And so your clients are working from that place where they're saying, how can I reinvent myself, and how can I use this to make a difference in my own life?
Yeah, and maybe even for your community and the world around you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Any other additional tips or hints for our listening audience about COVID-19?
Well, I'd like to say that one meditation that I practice and I really enjoy is called Vipassana. That is a deep awareness. It's simple scanning. So you can spend 5 to 10 minutes a day just scanning your body, mentally scanning your body from the top of your head all the way to the tips of the toes, maybe 5 minutes down, 5 minutes up. It's a wonderful technique and meditation, and I use it also in hypnosis when I do trance to help you establish equanimity of the mind. So it can be very helpful nowadays, and it can be really helpful with stress.
Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and helping our listening audience to feel like they have options beyond their own personal circumstances. I hope they will all go to your website because it is very interesting, and it'll take you to places where you'll get to see how she does her work. Again, that website is www.elenamosaner.com. So, Elena, thank you so much for your help. Absolutely. You make it a great one.
And Carol, thank you. Thank you so much. And I really appreciated your questions and your comments. I really enjoyed being on your show. Good luck to you with your podcast and your audience.
All right, and keep me posted about different projects that you're doing and books you're writing and all sorts of things.
I will. Thank you, Carol. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so think about it. I know with partner trauma, we do say hypnosis and hypnotherapy are not standalone, but they are wonderful adjunct treatments to take your life to a different level. I'm Carol Jorgensen-Sheets, a.k.a. Carol the Coach, and listen, there'll only be one of you at all times, so fearlessly have the courage to be yourself. We'll see you next week for more sex help with Carol the Coach. Make it a good one.